Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining us on our What's New webinar. We're excited to show you our newest features. Today we have Colby Knepp, our marketing director.
Hi guys.
Kayla Slaughter on our performance team.
Hello.
And I'm Chelsea Meeker. So today Colby's going to talk to us a little bit about these reports, let us know why we put these out here and how they're going to be helpful to you. I'm going to dive into a demonstration on the new features. And at the end, we'll have some time for some Q&A. At any time, you can go on the left-hand side of your screen and leave us a question. Just know that we'll probably get to those at the end in the Q&A. Colby?
Hey guys, good morning. My name is Colby Knepp, marketing manager here at TrainHeroic. It's my job to create awesome content that helps you guys out and also share some of the cool stuff that we have been building. So appreciate you guys taking some time this morning. Hey Luke, love you too. Thanks, man. Good morning, everybody. Appreciate you taking some time out of your day. I'm sure you got a lot on the agenda today. We strive to be a coach-centric platform, and we're always looking for ways to improve and be our best in order to help you guys be your best. And so that's what you're going to see with some of the features we're going to introduce today. And we're always seeking feedback. So if you guys ever have questions, comments, ideas, you can just send those to feedback@trainheroic.com, and we'll be sure to take that into consideration. So in today's webinar, we're going to cover 3 new feature sets: spreadsheets for tracking your testing data, how to set individual athlete goals, athlete tagging for better organization, and finally, athlete performance profiles. And so just as a quick overview, I'll touch on these features, and Chelsea and Kayla will dive in and actually show you how to get the most out of each one of these. And so our spreadsheets function just like a spreadsheet. And best practice here is anytime you're doing or going through a testing period, be it, winter testing, spring testing, whatever it is that makes sense in your application of training, use these spreadsheets to keep all your data in one place, as opposed to having multiple spreadsheets spread out on Excel or Google Docs or anything like that. Just make sure you're keeping all of your data in one place, and this will make the features we're going to talk about later that much more effective and impact your coaching that much more. Athlete tagging, just a really simple way to organize all of the athletes that you have. Best practice here is just organizing them by position group or ability level. And so when you go to build your athlete performance profiles, which we'll cover in 1 second, you're going to need to have all of your athletes tagged and organized. And so investing 10 to 15 minutes to go through your roster and organizing these athletes by position group is going to pay huge dividends down the road. We're also going to cover athlete performance profiles. And this is a really, really cool feature. Essentially, you're going to be able to see a summary of athletes and position groups' performance over time against those benchmarks that you set for each athlete. You're going to see a leaderboard for all the athletes in that position group, ranked from best to worst, how they stack up in your program, again, based on those standards of excellence, and historical testing data. So you're going to be able to see every testing period that you've had with these athletes from, let's say, the first day to enter your program or your gym, all the way up until today. And so in some applications, that could be 5 to 6 years of historical data. And then our individual athlete performance profiles, you're going to see a summary of that athlete's performance compared against his or her position group. And again, that's where athlete tagging comes into play. Historical testing data, and if you like to keep progress photos for body comp, muscle mass, stuff like that, you're going to be easily able to surface those and check in on some of that stuff. And so one last time, any questions, comments, or feedback, just send it our way, feedback@trainheroic.com.
Great, thanks, Colby. So we're going to dive into some demonstration here. Let's get that. So from your Coach Heroic account, you'll go over to the left-hand side of the screen, and you're going to start out on spreadsheets. So this is going to be a great way for you to just gather testing data for your athletes. So when you come in here, you'll create new. We can just call this test for now. You probably will want to be more specific, maybe name it the name of the team and the month and the year, just so that later on down the road, it's really easy to tell where this one's coming from. You have an option with the spreadsheets. You can start out with goal setting or benchmark testing. We're going to start out with benchmark testing. And then you'll choose a date. And this is the date that you actually did the testing. So we'll leave it, we'll say we did it on, I'm setting this up for the 20th. And then go to spreadsheet will take me to my new spreadsheet where I can start setting it up. So it looks a little blank right now. We're going to start out with adding our athletes. So if you're familiar with the other reports, this is kind of a similar setup. We're going to start out by choosing the team, and then we can choose our athletes over here on the right. I could select just a few people if that's what I'm going for, or I can select everyone on the team. All right, so now they're all added here on the team. And then from here, I can add my benchmarks. And this is, what am I testing today? So maybe I want to test their back squat. And we're going to go with a 1 rep max. I also want to test their bench press and their deadlift. As Colby mentioned earlier, we're adding a lot of functionality. You can now track their progress with photos. If I wanted to, I could come in here and search for photo. And then I've got different directions. Do I want a front view, a back view? I'll choose front for now. It's going to give you a little camera icon here. So when you're ready to load those, you'll click on this camera icon, and that's going to take you to the files on the computer. We're currently working on updating the team training app. So pretty soon you'll be able to actually take these photos directly from the team training app. So for the most part, these movements will all be in here already. On occasion, you might find that we're missing something that you want to test your athletes on. So in that case, you'll just click here and select new. And that's going to give you a window where you can create a new benchmark. You'll set the units and then the type. Is it a body weight exercise? Is it a lift? Is it biometrics? Skip that part for now. So this is, instead of plugging your testing data into an Excel spreadsheet, you can do it here. Nice part about this is any new numbers I put in here are automatically going to be updated on the athlete profile. So if I plug in Matt's back squat, that's now updated as his working max. Each cell is going to have this little paperclip icon here, and this is so I can leave notes for that athlete on that particular movement. We've also got some other options here at the bottom. You'll see I can mark them as injured, did not complete, or absent. So to get that started, I can just click here. I could click on either of any of those letters, an A, an I, or a D, to pull up this menu. If we're doing all this testing in one day and they were absent that day, I can click on these 3 dots and just have it autofill. So this one's pretty straightforward. You're just filling out what the athlete did. This will automatically update their working maxes. Right here it says spreadsheet only. This, at the moment, I can come over here and push it to their cell phone. It says tablet. That's going to be part of the new team training app release. It's not available just yet, but you will be able to push this to the team training app and have them log their results that way too. This data is also exportable, so if I need to put that into Excel, I can come over to those 3 dots here, either print that or put that into a CSV file. It will give me a file to download. So another nice thing about this is you can add tabs down here at the bottom. So maybe I did a testing day, and now that I know where they're at, I want to set some goals for them. So I can add a tab. We'll have to give it a name here. So we'll just call this goals for now. Tell the system that this is goal setting. And then the date here is, when do I want these goals to be due? So since we just did the testing, I'll probably give them a little bit of time to work on that. Let's put these towards the end of April. When you add a new tab on the same spreadsheet, it's going to carry over all of your athletes and all of those benchmarks. Because these athletes already had their maxes on file, it's just pulling over those numbers that they currently have so that I can set a reasonable goal for them. So if I know he's at 200, I can say, okay, by the end of the month, I want you to be at 210, or by the end of February. So it doesn't matter if you start out with goals and then do a testing day to follow up with that. You can also start with testing and then follow up with goals. Right. So I would say if you want to get started with collecting more data, definitely start with spreadsheets. Maybe do a couple testing days and then go from there. So next, we're going to touch.
One thing I just want to interject here. This is going to be a way for you to add in all of your historical data from before you had TrainHeroic. So if you've got years and years and years back before that you want to input into TrainHeroic, this is going to be how you can do that.
Okay, and I'm not sure if you guys could hear that very well or not, but Kayla is just mentioning that this is a great way to add historical data. So if you've got past data over years where you've been testing, you can certainly set these up. Just choose a past date and plug in that data. All right, next we're going to talk about tagging your athletes. You can do that over here on the My Athletes tab. And as Colby mentioned, this is just a way to identify your athletes, put them into different groups. Depending on your situation, this might be by position level. It might be if you're a PE teacher, it might be going by grade level. You've got some options there. So I could click on one athlete, and right here where it says add tags, if they've already got a tag, it'll say one tag or two tags. So I can click and then add anything that applies to them. So this person is a high school freshman. See if they also play basketball. I would highlight any positions that they play there and then apply. And then later, if I want, I can just kind of hover over it and it's going to let me know what that person is tagged as. You can also bulk edit these athletes. So if you pull up a team, so maybe I come up here and I choose my basketball team, for example. Stick with this team for now, but I could then tag everyone. So I could choose to select all, bulk edit athletes, and say, you know, they're all freshmen or they're all sophomores, and tag whatever they are. Most likely they're not all going to be the same position, but you could definitely check a few people at a time and do it that way. For now, we'll leave that as is. So tagging athletes is definitely going to help you on the athlete performance profile report. That's a pretty dynamic report that we've got set up for you. We're going to go over how to set this one up. So it's over here under reports. And unlike our other reports, this one requires a bit of setup before you actually get to run it. So we'll create new here. And it's this one down here at the bottom. Our suggestion is that you have several spreadsheets filled out before you try to run this report. This report is running data or pulling data directly from those spreadsheets. So if you have not filled out any spreadsheets, you're not going to have anything to look at here. This is a really great report for comparing their progress over time. Again, if you just have one testing day, it's probably not going to give you what you need. You might be better off running just a regular benchmark report. So we're going to start off here. This is connected with the tags. So you'll add the tags. In my case, if this is a weight training class, I'm going to go by year. And maybe I'm just going to choose all my high school students for now. And then you'll choose your benchmarks. There's a minimum of 3 benchmarks needed to set this up. You can choose up to 12. So I'm going to choose the same things that are on my spreadsheet. So we've got back squat, bench press, and deadlift. And then the last part over here is choosing your date range. So I could choose all time. I could also choose a start date. Maybe I just want the last year. Standards of excellence we'll touch on in a minute. I'm going to show you a report that has these on there. You could also show goals. So if I set those goals where I want their back squat to increase a certain amount by next month, I could show that on here as well as those athlete photos. So for now, we've just got a basic one. This is a coach who's had some data for several years. So we're going to pull up his report. There is a table of contents over here. So if I want to hone in on a certain person, I can. Maybe I want to look at my wide receivers and I want to look at Isaac. So here is the report. This graph right here is just showing me this person's progress over time. So you might see no data. If he didn't do a bench press, then I'm not going to see any numbers for him here. But if he did, I can see him, and I can also compare that against others with his tag. So his tag was that he's a wide receiver. So it's going to show me his numbers, and then the average number of the other wide receivers. So I can see he's doing great there. For the 225 test, he's a little bit lower. And it's just a great way to kind of at a glance see how they stack up against others in that position. Down here is pretty much that same data, just in a chart format. So I can see the athlete right here and just his progress for each movement. And then the second table is comparing him against other wide receivers. Further down, this is more of a detailed view. It's the same thing, it's giving me his performance over time, but here's just showing me all of each testing day. So here's a testing day. Since that was the only one that year, it's going to be the same number for the year. And then this other year, in 2016, we had 2 testing days, and then the years just kind of show me his progress overall during that time. So we're not going to dive too much into standards today. That's kind of a little bit more advanced. We recommend that you set up the spreadsheets, start using those first, tag all of your athletes. If you really are looking for something specific and you have standards of excellence that you want to hold your athletes to, we can definitely help you set those up. Standards of excellence are a way for you to create different levels. Maybe you want to say this person is beginner, intermediate, advanced. In this case, the coach chose low, average, and high. And it kind of gives them a carrot to chase. So you can say, a low number for bench press is X, an average number is Y, and a high number is Z. And basically this lets you know where your athletes stack up against your standards. So this chart kind of has a key up here. The big circle is showing you where the athlete currently is, and then the dot is showing you their past values. So if we look at bench press here, this dot is showing me he was here and now he's here. So he's decreased a little bit, and I can see that in comparison to my standards, he's on the low end. Same thing with vertical jump. He's still on the low end, but I can see that he started here and he's improving over time. Broad jump as well. He's improved quite a bit and he's almost average there. And pro agility, he's gone down a little bit, but he's still in the average section. So this is going to break down just where that athlete is in relation to standards that you set. So that's kind of our overview today. We just wanted to show you how to set up those spreadsheets. That's going to be the #1 piece in getting this data later down the road. These reports are excellent as far as comparing that athlete's progress year over year, or just comparing them to others on the team. So we're going to wrap up here with a little bit of Q&A. So feel free to send your questions in on the left-hand side of the screen.